A very good morning to all the students. So guys, in the last lab session, I have already discussed practical 5, 6, 7 that you need to perform using the material, reference material available with you. I'll just go through that practical very quickly. Let me know once my screen is visible. Uh, right. So I hope my screen is visible. So practical 5, 6, 7 was about implementing the web scraping, then validations and the web APIs and all those things. Where practical 5 was implementing a web scraping using curl to fetch the relevant data from another website. That means we are fetching movie names from IMDb movie website, right? Then we are implementing a registration form validation using regular expression. This practical was already completed in practical number 1, so we have not done this one. Then in the seventh practical, we were actually using a weather API to fetch a weather details of any Indian city, right? Where you to register for a weather API, get a API token key and URL to use and find the weather details. Similarly, I asked you to search out for I asked you to search out for any cricket scores API or stock markets API if it is available. And if it is available, we just need to find out the relevant data for that particular API using that particular API. So these were these few practicals that were discussed in the last lab session also, where very few of them were present, right? So this is what you need to complete it by your own. Now today we are going to start with implementing the CRUD operations using Node.js. That is practical number 10. We will start with application development of Laravel from the next week, right? Because we have just started with Laravel in our lecture sessions. So let's see how to implement CRUD operations using Node.js. You already have a reference material with you for this particular program. I'll just show you the steps of executing this particular program and how we should move ahead with this program. So I'll just show you the steps, right? So first of all, what you need to do is you need to start your XAMPP or WAMP server or EasyPHP, whatever software you are using for your program execution, for creating a local host and everything. So I have started my XAMPP control panel. Next thing, you need to create one folder in one of the drives, right? First thing you need to create is the folder in one of the drives, right? So, and then you just need to open a command prompt. Using the command prompt, you need to navigate to that particular folder, and then you should move inside that particular folder. So let's say I already have ND folder inside my RVADH folder, that is in C drive users folder. So I'll just navigate to that particular folder inside it. So now I'm inside that particular folder. Once you are inside that folder, okay, okay, Alnava, that's fine, but you can refer to the reference material and you can complete 5, 6, 7 because already I have demonstrated 5, 6, 7 in the lectures also. So that won't be any issue. Yeah. So now once you are inside the ND folder or the folder that you have created for your Node.js application, what you need to do, you just need to write down a command called npm install, and then we are going to install the Express server. So we'll write down Express, the body parser, the component that is going to interpret your HTML codes. Then we are also going to include MySQL because we also want to work with database. And then we are going to install NodeMon. NodeMon is a component that is having a live server facility, right? And then we are just going to write down save. So I want to save each and every component inside my folder. Yes, exactly. ND is a folder where we are going to install all the node components. Exactly, Allah. Right. When I hit enter, it will try to install all the components and you will get the success message. Now, what you need to do, you just, once everything is done, we will just write down code space dot. If I'm using VS Code as an editor, then and then you are going to write down this syntax. Otherwise, you'll open the complete folder inside your editor on your own. Code dot is a particular I would syntax that opens the complete folder inside VS Code automatically. So I'll just hit enter and it will initiate Visual Code and it will open everything inside my editor. So now you are ready to work with Node.js. That is what the first step you need to actually do, right? And then I'm going to start working with my Node.js. So now this is the complete code that I already written, right? So we'll start understanding each code very quickly. So first thing you need to do is, okay. So first thing you need to write down is you need to require the MySQL inside your application. So we'll write down require MySQL. You also require a server. So we'll include Express server. And then what I'm saying that I'm going to use this app variable to access the complete server. So these three lines are very much important. Then using the MySQL, we'll first establish a connection between your application and the database. So I'm using MySQL.create connection method where I'm saying my host will be localhost, the user of my localhost will be root, there will be no password, and the database that I'm going to access is Node Pro. So I should have a Node Pro database in my localhost PHP my admin. This is compulsory. I should have a Node Pro database in PHP my admin. So let us go to localhost and then I'll click PHP my admin. It will take first time, it will take some time initially, right? You can see this is a Node Pro database already available. If it is not available in your PHP admin, just click on new, write down Node Pro here and just create it. And you can see the users. There is a root whose server is localhost and there will be no password. No. Password is no. That means there is no password required. So yes, it is matching the syntax, whatever we have written in our VS Code. And then inside this Node Pro database, there will be a table called employee. Remember this thing, EMPLOYEE, employee. And it is having 4 columns: ID, name, e-code, and salary. ID will be integer, name will be varchar, e-code will be varchar, and salary will be integer. No constraints are required, no primary key, no foreign key, no auto increments, nothing. Only 4 simple columns: ID integer, name varchar, e-code varchar, and salary integer. Right? So this table should be there inside your particular database. Then once I have to create connection function I have made, I am going to connect my this particular application with my database. So I'm using connect method of MySQL, and I'll say I'll create an array of errors. If there is an error, we'll display those errors. If there is no error, I'm just displaying DB success message. That means I have connected successfully with my database, right? Then next thing, I need to just execute my server. So if I execute my server, if I just execute localhost, right, then if everything goes well, I'm going to print this particular message. Welcome to Node.js CRUD operations. And I'm going to execute my server on 3565 port number. I already discussed this in the lecture also that this port number could be anything. You can write down any port number you wish. Right? And I'm using 3565. You can use 8000, 8565, 8222, whatever port number you like. Right? So I'm saying app.listen means the server is going to execute on 3565 port. Right? So I'm writing if it is getting executed successfully, I'll print this message: server started at port 3565. So initially what I have done, I have included everything in my application. I have created the function that is going to connect with my database, and I use connect method to connect with the database. I have already said that if my server executes properly, I want to print this particular message, and my server is going to execute on port 3565. Initially, we have done this thing. So let's try to execute it first. So I'll write down localhost and I'll provide colon my port number 3565. Okay, there is some issue. Let's check it out. Let's check the XAMPP server. XAMPP is working properly. Okay, I have not executed my application. So what I need to do first, I will go to my command prompt and I'll write down node mon for live interaction between application and server. So now I got the message server started at port 3565 and DB connection is also successful. So now my server is ready to execute. So now let's go to localhost. I will write down colon 3565 the port number and hit enter. So I got the message. Welcome to introduction of Node.js CRUD operations. So now I am ready to execute my CRUD operations on the browser, right? So let's start with it. Okay, so we'll go to VS Code and now we'll start with the CRUD operations. So the first thing you need to remember is whenever we are working with CRUD operations of Node, we'll require 4 methods. For select command, we will require get method. For insert command, we are going to use post method. For update command, we are going to use put method. And for delete command, we are going to use delete method. Get, post, put, delete. Select, insert, update, and delete method, delete commands. Right? So here I am saying that app.get, that means my server is going to fetch some data. When it is going to fetch some data? When I write down emp on the URL. When I write down emp on the URL, that means after this 3565, I write down slash emp. That means I'm going to fetch some data, right? That is why I use get method. So let's go to code. Okay, so when I write down this emp on the URL, I want to fetch all the data of employee table. Select star from employee. I'm fetching all the data of employee table, right? And if there is no error, I'll just print them. If there is an error, I'll just print the errors, right? So when I write down slash emp, I'm going to fetch all the data of employee and I'm going to use get method. So let's hit enter here after writing emp. You can see on your screen the complete data of the database has been fetched. These are the 4 rows 10, 10, 10, 2. So we have 10, 10, 10, 2. So we have got all the data, right? Similarly, let's go to the code again. This is the first code. Now, if I am writing like this, slash emp slash id, that means I am fetching a specific ID's data. So I'll write down select star from employee where ID equals to question mark. So question mark here means that whatever ID I am passing on the URL, the same ID's data will be fetched by the application, right? So let's say if I write down here emp slash 2, then it is going to fetch the data of only ID 2. So this is what we are using get method. Get method is always used for fetching up the data from the database, right? Now let's go and try to insert the data. So I'm using post method for insert. And I'm saying when I write down emp ins on the URL, right, you need to insert the data to the database. So what I'm saying, insert into employee values. Let me just try to change the values. 3, let's say Mohammed, let's say M007 and salary is 35,000. I want to insert this data. When I write down empins and the method that I'm going to use is post, right? If it is successfully inserted, I will get data inserted successful message or else I'll get the error message. So let's save this and let's try it out. EMPINS. I hit enter. I got an error. What is this error? Cannot get EMPINS. That means EMPINS is being executed on post method and browser can directly interpret only get method. Right? It cannot interpret any other method other than get. Right? So it can only fetch the data. It cannot send the data directly to the database. So for this, we need to use third-party tool. And which is that tool? The tool could be either Postman. You can download Postman and execute the post method or put method or delete method. But right now, we are going to use the VS Code extension. And that extension is this one, Thunder Client. You can just note it down. Thunder Client is an extension of VS Code. Thunder Client is an extension of VS Code that I'm going to use. I'll just click it. I'll click your new request. And what I need to do, I'll first copy this URL and then I'll just paste it here. I'll change the method from get to post and then I'll hit send. Once I click send, I got a message data inserted successfully. So this code was executed successfully by my Thunder client, right? So let's check the database. This is the database. Okay, I'll just zoom out a little bit. I'll refresh the page. Okay, the nodemon has not executed successfully. So I'll just need to go to nodemon. And now the server has restarted. So now I will just try to refresh the page. And then I'll go to my Thunder client. I'll send it again. And let's refresh it. So now you can see 3 Mohammed M007 35,000 has been included to my database. So this is your insert query. Similarly, we are going to execute update and delete query. So for update, what I have said, my URL will be emp/upt and then followed by the ID. So that means whatever ID I'm going to pass here, I'm going to update the particular data for that particular ID. What I'm saying, when I write down /emp/upt/some ID, I'm going to update E code as well as the salary for that particular ID. So let's say I'm sending set E code equals to M018 and salary equals to 25,000, where ID equals to whatever ID I have passed on my URL, right? So let's save this. Let's go to this and I'll say /emp/upt/3. I'm changing the ID 3's data. What is M007 and 35,000 is the older data. I'm going to change it for M0118 and 25,000 as the salary. So let me just click send. Okay, there is an error. Error means there is no method that can update the data. So for update, we are going to use put method. Now click send. So you'll get data updated successfully message. So let's refresh this page. You can see now for ID 3, M0118 and 018 and 25,000 salary has been updated. So update is working successfully. Similarly, for delete, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the URL called emp/del/id. So whatever ID I'm going to provide here, that ID will be deleted directly. So I'm writing delete from employee where ID equals to whatever ID has been passed over the URL, right? So if it is successfully deleted, I will get delete success message or else the error message. Okay, so let's try to execute this. And what is the method that we need to use? Delete method. So I'll go to this. I'll write down del/2. I'm going to delete the ID 2 and I'm going to use delete method. So send it. So I got delete success message. That means The ID2 has been deleted from the database. Let's refresh this. Let's refresh this. You can see there is no data of ID2 now. So it means your delete query has got executed successfully. So this is how we execute the CRUD operations of Node.js. I hope I am clear. Right? So now you have to follow the steps that I have discussed just now with you, as well as you also need to refer the reference material already shared with you, and you can complete this particular program on your own. Right? So I hope I am clear with this. All the 7 students present right now in the lab session right now. You just need to create a folder, install the Node.js command, and then you just need to follow the steps provided in your reference material. Extension name is Thunder Client. Thunder Client. Yeah. THUNDER CLIENT. Thunder Client. Right, guys, then start working on this program and complete this Node.js CRUD operations on your own. You would be able to update it from your command prompt, but I don't remember the exact command that you need to use. Or else you can just uninstall it and install it again. You just uninstall your XAMPP or WAMP server and install the latest one, so you will get the latest PHP version inside your system. Right, guys, then start working on it and complete the CRUD operations of Node.js with whatever we have discussed, and also keeping in mind the reference material that I have shared. So start working on it, guys. Thank you.